Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Get Out and Explore with John. Today I've made it all the way to New Hampshire and I am at the base of Mount Washington. Thought I would take the Cog Railway to the top of Mount Washington to check out the summit up there. Mount Washington is the highest point in the state of New Hampshire, so this is going to be my 7th state high point. But it's going to be a little different than the other ones that we've done. I'm going to take the train to the top this time, so wanted to bring you along for the ride, and hopefully you like it and we'll get some good views at the top. So let's go ride the Cog Railway. The Mount Washington Cog Railway, also known as the Cog, is the world's first mountain climbing cog railway. It uses a marsh rack system on both steam and biodiesel powered locomotives to carry tourists to the top of Mount Washington. Its track is 4 foot 8 inches wide and technically is known as a narrow gauge rail. It is the second steepest rack railway in the world after Pilatus Railway in Switzerland. With an average grade of over 25% and a maximum grade of 37%, the railway is approximately 3 miles long and ascends Mount Washington's western slope, beginning at an elevation of 2,700 feet and ending just short of the mountain's summit peak at 6,288 feet. The train ascends the mountain at 2.8 miles per hour and descends at 4.6 miles per hour. The railway was built by Sylvester Marsh, a native of New Hampshire, who came up with the idea while climbing Mount Washington in 1852. His plan was treated as insane. Local tradition says that the state legislature voted permission based on a consensus that harm resulting from the operation was no issue, since the design was attempting the impossible. Marsh obtained the charter for construction on June 25, 1858, but the American Civil War prevented any action until 1866. He developed a prototype locomotive and a short demonstration section of the track, then found investors, forming the Mount Washington Railway Company in the spring of 1866. Despite the railroad's incomplete state, the first paying customers started riding on August 14, 1868, and the construction reached the summit in July of 1869. The early locomotives had boilers mounted vertical, like many stationary steam engines of the time. The boilers were mounted to the locomotive's frames with twin trunnions, allowing them to pivot as the locomotive and coach climbed the grade, permitting gravity to always keep the boiler vertically oriented, no matter what the gradient of the track. Later designs introduced horizontal boilers, slanted so that they remain close to horizontal on the steeply graded track. In August 1869, President Ulysses Grant visited New England to escape the heat of summer in Washington, and during his tour he rode the Cog Railway to the top of Mount Washington. During each 3-mile ascent, the steam locomotive burns 1 short ton of coal and consumes 1,000 gallons of water. In the summer of 2008, the Cog introduced its first diesel locomotive. Since then, the railroad has added 6 more biodiesel locomotives, which are operated on a 20% biodiesel blended fuel. Each 3-mile round trip in the diesel locomotive only burns approximately 18 gallons of the biodiesel fuel.
Construction began. And we still use this water tank today, actually, but we did give it a bit of a facelift. We put a metal water tank inside, we widened the face out with some concrete blocks. Now the reason that we need this is our steam engine needs 1,000 gallons of water to make it all the way to the summit. That locomotive in the back, though, can only hold around 700 to 750 gallons. So once they come up over Cold Spring Hill, they stop here and they top off the rest of the way on water. fireman's entire job is just shoveling coal into that furnace every 10 to 15 seconds. We also have a hop to our left there inside that Warback station. It's actually what allows us to run year-round here. The Cog Railway is open for 363 days a year. We stop for Christmas and Thanksgiving, that's it. But right around mid-October, we have to stop going up to the sun. That's just when it becomes way too dangerous. So we try to turn this place kind of into a winter wonderland. We got fires going, surfboard beverages. Sometimes Santa Claus comes along. It's super neat. These are lock and vent system, and that's right below us. On the left-hand side, you can see right below our main line. This is just those kind of humps of wood with those numbers on them. What those do is they allow us to travel the mountain at a much more of a consistent grade. Another reason that we have them is when Sylvester Marsh first got this charter to build the Cog Railway, the state said that it could not be a permanent structure in the side of Mount Washington. So we needed some way of lifting the entire track off of the ground. And that's what it came up with, basically just building these kind of trapezoid-shaped objects and leveling them out with those blocks. Now, that block and bend system is under constant inspection. Our track crew comes out about every other week and does an entire inspection of the track, making sure everything's A-okay. Now, we are going to be coming up here, just coming to a quick little stop waiting for that last train, that green one, to come back down. That green one's actually M1. That's our first ever biodiesel that we produced in 2007. Our newest one, M7, right in front of us, this was produced in 2019. This is actually our oldest coach that we have. It still has those two manual brake wheels, and those are attached to both the up-mount and down-mount axle. And so we've got to crank those in order to stop. Well, with us, we have an air brake coach, so I simply push a button and everything stops.
Initially, there was no way for two trains to pass one another on the railway. So in 1941, a 9-motion switch was invented, and 2 spur sidings were added, each long enough to divert 2 descending trains so that climbing trains could continue to the summit, enabling more round trips per day.
Off the ground. So I definitely recommend if anyone's afraid of heights, if you just stay seated for me. This is where things get pretty cool. You can see how I'm standing. You can do a nice little, Superman impression, Michael Jackson, whatever you're feeling. More of a perspective for you. Where I'm standing here on the platform, I am 14 feet higher than the 14th row. Also, as we're passing by, lets me know that we're just at about tree line here on Mount Washington. Our tree line here is only 5,000 feet in elevation, which is pretty low. Most tree lines are anywhere between 10,000 to 11,000 feet on average. But the reason we have such a low tree line is we have the world's worst weather. That's because 3 major weather systems collide right here on the summit of Mount Washington, bringing in different warm fronts and cold fronts, creating some crazy winds, and some of the weirdest storms I've seen. Up to our left and right hand side, That's because we just finished re-railing our entire track 2 years ago. It was a very long and lengthy process. We're still in the process of cleaning up that little upgrade that we had. So we used to have 25-pound rail and stuff to the side, but we replaced it with a 100-pound rail that we're riding on now, which is a lot more durable. It's going to last a lot longer than an old 25-pound rail. Now that those trees are kind of out of the way, we're starting to see a lot more of this Arctic tundra grass. That's kind of that brownish green grass coming up in tufts all around us. Now, this Arctic tundra grass has little to no nutritional value. That's why a lot of our furry friends like to stay further down towards our base station where they can actually eat something and they can hide off in the woods from many predators. Now, we do have a few things that live up here. One of the main things being insects. We actually get a good amount of black flies up here when it's super warm and not so windy, which is very rarely eat. So the flies shouldn't be bothering you guys today, but something that we might be able to see are these small little birds called juncos. They're about 2-3 inches long, black and gray birds. They kind of fly around in and out of the track sometimes. Hopefully we'll be able to see them. Sometimes they're kind of cool. They like to play a little game of chicken with us here on the tracks. A ton of hikers now. But surprisingly, we're getting close to 70, 80 hikers just today. We get thousands and thousands of hikers come up here and here. Some of them even come up in the wintertime. That's because they're training for Mount Everest. So they do this mountain a few times and they go on to a few mountains in Alaska. And then they come on over to Everest and go to the base station. Now, I'll point it out because the sun's still out. It's right down here, you can see it. You guys might be able to notice some of those kind of reflective little sparkles on that surface road over there. Now that's called mica. It's a very reflective mineral. And that's what gives us the name, the White Mountains. It's that very reflective mineral because the story goes, the first settlers who came over here were actually able to see the reflection of Mount Washington from the Atlantic Ocean. Super crazy. Now that's actually what a lot of this rock is. Mica schist. Not granite like you guys may think, even though we are in granite state. Now there's mica schist, very sharp, so do be careful when you guys are walking around here. Don't want anyone really falling up themselves. Now the Appalachian Trail, for those of you guys who do not know, is a very long hiking trail that starts all the way down in Georgia. It goes to the uppermost part of Maine. It's nearly 2,200 miles long. It takes about 4 to 6 months to hike the entire thing. I've been told about 6,000 people start it here, only 600 make it all the way to the end. Super, super difficult. I was actually talking to a hiker a few weeks ago. She was telling me that this has been the hardest section of the Appalachian Trail she's had to hike. That's just because of the really rocky landscape we have here and horrible, horrible terrain. Especially when compared this landscape compared to Labrador, Canada. So you guys went up to Labrador, this is what you can see. A lot of that mica schist rock and a lot of that Arctic tundra grass. Tell if someone is hiking the Appalachian Trail just due by the amount of gear that they have on their back. And also normally by the way they smell. Now we can't see that someone building up on for right inside. It's the first time we were actually able to see it from down here. It's super awesome. You guys can see it. It's super cool. As well as a pink shop. Down in the basement, they have an extreme weather museum. I definitely recommend going to check that out. All you gotta do is walk on in, show them the Cog Railway ticket, and they'll let you right back down the mountain. They'll let you right in. Give you a lot more information about the extreme weather that we have up here, other than the weather that we're feeling right now. And I'll say it one more time, you guys have 1 hour up here to explore, look around, figure out what's inside that Sherman-Adams building. And after that hour, you're gonna come back out with tickets in hand. I'll say it again, tickets in hand. You're going to give them your down mountain fragment and then bring you right back down the mountain. It is not going to be me. It's going to be a different train, different crew. I'll say it again, different train, different crew. If you see my face again, it's going to be at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I photo on your watch. If you miss your train, I am not kidding. It is a 4 to 5 hour hike back down the mountain. So do not miss your train, alright? Since we can't get up here to our boarding spot, so I'm actually going to jump off of this train here, have engineer Josh get to where we need to get, and I'll hop back on and let you know when it's all safe on board.
This is it, top of Mount Washington. We just got off the train, totally socked in with clouds here again, a little misty. Temperatures probably 20 to 25 degrees colder than down at the bottom when we got on the train. So just wanted you to kind of get an idea of what we're in for up here at the top. Right behind me over here is the Tip Top House, and that's where I'm going to go check out right now. That was the original building shelter that was put in up here at the top. So let's go check that out.
While I'm walking around here, a fun fact I wanted to share with you was a official Mount Washington record low temperature of -50 degrees Fahrenheit was set on January 22nd, 1885.
Let's go check this out. Closed for renovations. That's a bummer. Well, you can see the outside of it. So, let's walk around and check it out. This building it out of stone, which was the only material they had. Pretty good choice. It's lasted, and I don't think the weather's going to affect the building here.
All right, guys, here I am. This is my 7th state high point summit. Did it a little different today. Took the railway up to the top, but here I am, summit of Mount Washington. All right up there is the Tip Top House, the summit marker. And if we come around this way, I'm gonna head towards the visitor center now. Here's a picture of the top of the mountain here on a clear day. They said there's an average of 8 clear days per year where you can see the summit. Let's go check out the museum. Looks like some of the radio equipment, early radio equipment, gauges that recorded the wind speed record on April 12, 1934, 231 miles an hour. Okay, this is the actual anemometer that recorded that high wind speed in 1934. Here's a picture of it up on top of the building here at the top. I guess these are some of the animals that you might see on the mountain. They're not going to be up here at the summit, but raven, bobcat, weasel, red-tailed foxes. You're definitely not going to see these up here at the top, but maybe down on lower elevations.
Rime ice forms whenever a cloud passes over the summit. Whenever that cloud's beneath 32 degrees, there's actually little bits of moisture that are inside that cloud. And those moisture particles actually stay liquid even though it's below freezing, and they could stay below freezing to temperatures as cold as -40. Those little moisture particles, as soon as it hits something, any surface that's either 32 degrees or below, it'll freeze right on contact, and it's that rapid freezing that starts to accumulate this really nice white feathery rime ice. It tells a really great story at the end of a storm where the winds were coming from, because essentially we'll get it pointing a certain direction, these long feathers that go out, and that actually shows you the direction from which the wind was coming from. It's a little counterintuitive, but it grew right into the direction of the wind. They will cover anything. You, me, the building out here, or any of our instruments. It's actually one of the major reasons why we need to keep the station manned when we have the winds gusting 90 miles an hour or more, and we're in the clouds like we are about 60% of the time during the year. We have accumulations maybe 6 inches or more per hour in some extreme icing conditions. So we have to go with crowbars and we have to knock all this ice off of our instruments, because otherwise this stuff will freeze even our heated instruments and we won't get good data up here.
Here's some of the wildflowers that you might see up here on the mountain in the alpine zone. Dapasia, alpine azaleas, and Lapland rosebud. This is a pretty cool display of how you're going to get around when the wind's blowing up here on top of the mountain.
Okay, it's clearing up a bit. Let's see what the views are like higher up on the road. Hey, check out the views now.
Line at the coffee and hot chocolate machines. And today at the top of Mount Washington is definitely hot chocolate weather.
And a hot chocolate for the night. Unless you guys want to tap on in the spot and open the doors.
There's the train, if you can see it out there.
Here, I'll cut that up into nice ones.
And that's about all you can see. Wow. We have a post office up here at the visitor center if you want to send a postcard down from the top of Mount Washington. Alright, just chilling here on Mount Washington. Right, here's the Sherman Adams Summit Building. Okay, this is the Summit Stage office. gift shop and hiker shuttle. And let me tell you, if this doesn't prove that it gets windy up here, they actually have this building chained down to the rock. That is crazy. I would not want to be up here when there's a storm happening. This is just insane. There you go. 231 miles an hour. This building here is where they take and monitor all the weather records up here at the top. The Yankee building.
Long distance look for me.
Oh, I got you.
Here we go. 3 o'clock today. Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
These binoculars. Particular because in the winter storms come primarily out of the west, and it drives the snow. Wind-driven snow goes up Birch Ravine, up the Andalusian Ravine, goes over the top of the mountain, and then eddies in on the back side into the Great Gulf, underneath the ravine, and especially into Tuckerman Ravine. Now, Tuckerman Ravine being on the east side of the mountain, not unusual for there to be 70 to 100 feet of snow come springtime. Would you agree? Yeah? I've been over there with 100 feet of snow under my feet. It's an amazing experience. And so if you consider yourself to be a New England skier, any New England skiers here? Yeah. Okay, now, this is how important Tuckerman Ravine is. If you consider yourself to be a New England skier, you have to go and ski Tuckerman Ravine at least once. It's like the Muslims have to go to Mecca at least once in their life. You gotta ski Tuckerman Ravine if you want to be considered truly a New England skier. So it's just you and me. Nicely done. But, really, put it on your list of things to do. And if you hiked up this mountain today, you know how to do your homework. You know what this mountain can do. Do your homework. And either if you're hiking or if you're going to ski Tuckerman Ravine, do your homework. Carry, those 10 to 15 items that you need.
Okay, well, we made it back down to the bottom of the Mount Washington Cog Railway, so that's going to do it for the video today. Hopefully enjoyed the ride up and down and a little bit of exploring we did at the top of the mountain there, a little socked in with clouds, but we got to see as much as we could, so hopefully you liked the video. So until next time, thanks for watching, and like I always say, you never know what you're going to see when you get out and explore with John. Looks like they have a couple of the old steam engines on display here. These were actually in use here or not. I don't know. There is a cog on that, so I guess these were early versions of the engines for the Cog Railway. Pretty cool. Don't know how old they are. Try and find out for you and put a little bit of information up on the screen.
In the early days of the railway's construction, the workers wanted to minimize the time of descending the mountain, so they invented these slide boards, better known as devil's shingles, which fit over the cog and provided just enough room for themselves and their tools. The average time for a descent was about 15 minutes, but the record was 2 minutes and 45 seconds with an average speed of above 62 miles an hour. Crazy.